Okay, I think it's working now. Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining me on this Q&A. It's been a few weeks, hasn't it? It's been 6-8 weeks now since the last time we've done it. And as you can probably hear, I've got a sore throat, so I might sound a bit funny. But if at any point you can't hear me, or if there's any connection issues, type in the chat and I'll try to address it. Okay, here we go. Cool. So as you know, we have this list of questions that the community has submitted. So I thought it's quite a nice way to do it because of the time difference issues. So everyone's on different time zones, and I figure it would be nice if we can just record it, do it sort of asynchronously. And this is what we do in the team as well, because we're so distributed. So I'm in England, Mike is in Australia. I know we have a few more people in Australia, and Tom's here. So the tools we use are all like we find tools that help working remotely. I just see a scary picture of myself. Thanks, virus. Right, so coming back. So I'll go through the questions. We have like 50 questions or so. A lot of them are quite funny. But I think there are some really good questions in there as well. So I'll go through them. And then if anyone else have any questions, feel free to jump in. Or just, type in the chat. And then we can have a quick chat. I was initially going to play the game while I answer the questions, but I think I'm just going to do the questions first, and if we have time, maybe we'll play some games. But when I'm playing BattleTabs, I find it very hard to do anything else because I just need the game requires full concentration. For me anyway, so but we can have a chat or stream later. Cool. Okay, so let's start. You know what, let me see, maybe I'll share my screen so you can see these questions as well. How do I do that? Okay, so here we go. Okay, let's see, what inspired you to start working on BattleTabs? So it's an interesting one. We are so initially Mike and I were playing around with a bunch of different ideas, and we both were competitive gamers. Like I used to play Warcraft 3 quite competitively, and I was doing quite well. Oh, someone's making, whoa. I'm going to mute you for a second, Nobleman, because your background noise is quite difficult. Okay, anyways, so I was playing Warcraft 3 quite a lot, and I was quite competitive. I was in this team, and we got to the top 100 on the US West server. US West server back in the day. So I was really into competitive gaming. And I think Mike was doing really well in the StarCraft scene as well. And we wanted to make a game that has a lot of the elements of what we like about competitive gaming, especially on the community side of things. Because I remember when I used to be playing Warcraft 3, when I'm not playing, I'm on forums, I'm chatting with other people, discussing strategies and making new friends. And that was something that we really wanted to do. But at the same time, we want to see if we can bring that to more people. So something, a game that is easier to get started with. And then gradually we wanted to add more depth to it. So that was the first thing. And secondly, we also wanted to try making games as a browser extension. We had done a few projects on browser extensions before. We had this sort of like a CRM tool where you can go on someone's social profile, you click a button, it sort of scrapes the page, get the information, and save it into a database. So we've done that before, and Mike's done a few other browser extensions with Tumblr. So we thought it would be an interesting space for games. And as many of you know, BattleTabs started out as a browser extension. So the idea is every time you open a new tab, you're sort of reminded that there's this game here that you can participate. You can kind of feel there's something going on. When someone's waiting for a match, you can see that. So that's something that we really liked about the idea. So we sort of combined the love for what we call these casually competitive games with our experience making browser extensions, and we sort of married the two and thought it might be kind of fun to do something like that. So that was the beginning of BattleTabs, and I don't know how many of you have played the very first version, but it's very basic, I suppose is the way to put it. Like we had the nice art, the nice sort of PvP components, but the game was fairly simple. But yeah, that's the start of BattleTabs. Yeah, the whole sidebar. We didn't used to have a sidebar. The very first version, we had a sort of a navigation thing at the bottom, and you can see your matches. Yeah, so that was like version 1, very a long time ago. So yeah, okay. So let's move on to the next question. How much do you get paid? The answer to this question is always not enough. So I'll leave it at that. What's your first goal for BattleTabs? I think we definitely. So our first goal was to see if one, browser extensions can be a viable platform for games, and two, can we build a game that's engaging enough to start having more players involved. And I think in both regards, the game's done had exceeded our expectations. One, the browser extensions as a gaming platform, that's a really interesting one, and we have a lot of ideas that we still have yet to explore, but it's something that I think it's proven to be a really interesting space, and I like the fact that it sort of stays with you. When you have the browser open, the game is sort of there, you can engage with it whenever you need it. And then two, obviously, with you all coming onto the Discord server, I think that's been a great sort of learning for us, that yes, we can build something, we can start creating a community, and people are helping each other out, and then you're all providing a lot of social benefits, and social benefit sounds wrong, social value to each other. I think it's nice to have a community that everyone can sort of come back to, and you can, even if you're not playing the game, you can just hang out on the server, which I do all the time, right? Like I love our Good Vibes channel, where I can just send some gifs every day. So that's I think we did well with BattleTabs. Okay, next question. What would be your advice for someone new to coding? That's a good question. I wasn't trained as a programmer. I had a degree in economics, and then I went to business school. But after a few years in a strategy role, I wanted to make games. So I left, and I spent a year learning how to make games, and I used Unity. And this was a long time ago. This was over 10 years ago. And I think my best advice, and take this with a grain of salt, because I am not the programmer on the team. I no longer code on the game, because everyone else is just so much better than me. And I remember doing something once, and then basically just got told off by Mike that just don't touch it because I messed something up. But coming back, I think the best thing you can do is just get started. Just find a small project that you wanted to work on, and then just get going with it. There are a lot of tutorials online, and I have a course online from a decade ago. If anyone's interested, send me ping me. I'll send you a code, and then you can start just making things. I think making things is the best way to learn. So definitely just get started. What made you to make? I think we answered that. Right. So the board size, that's an interesting one. We wanted the game to be quick, that so that you can finish a match in 3 to 5 minutes, which means the board can't be too big. And then, so that's the first criteria. Secondly, we wanted every turn to feel meaningful, to feel like there's an impact to the outcome. So when the grid is too big, then one, it starts to drag out the match, and two, you'll have turns where it doesn't seem to matter that much. And we had tested bigger maps, and I think some of the testers on Discord have helped us testing out like a bigger board, and it just didn't quite work. So we decided to stay with the current size. I think we did increase it once. It used to be 7x7, and then it's now 8x8. And this is the reason why, if you use Catamaran and you have this attack and it's 1x7 instead of 1x8, because it's from the old board, and we just didn't make the change, and then decided actually this is kind of a nice way to do Catamaran's ability. So that's why the grid size is the current size. The other consideration was that we wanted to show off the artwork. So the bigger the board, the more grid, the more like the smaller the grid, the smaller the ships are going to be. And then we kind of feel like we really wanted to show off the artwork that Alan's created. So that was another consideration. So that's what there are things we had to consider. For example, if we have a 2v2 mode, then perhaps a bigger map or a bigger board would make sense. Things like that. So still lots of possibilities. But for now, I think we're sticking with the current size. What inspired you to continue working on BattleTabs? I think it's the fact that the game just kind of surprised us in how much depth we can continue adding to it. And as some of you might remember, the very first version of BattleTabs is basically just battleships with a tighter board. And then we added this BattleTabs Classic mode, which is every single shot is a sonar shot. And then we started building on top of that. And then as we continued building out the game, we started to realize that the kind of game like battleships is not necessarily just about the attacks, it's about information gathering. So that's when we were adding things like outside of sonar, then we added things like reveal, and this is all Tom's work. And initially we thought with a simple gameplay like this, we can probably only have 20 ships, and then we'll run out of ideas. But what ended up happening was we actually came up with a list of 50 ideas, and they're just, we could start to imagine different things happening on the board. There could be chain reactions, there could be passive abilities, and more the game starts to become more like a collectible card game, kind of like Hearthstone in some ways, but with a twist, right? Like with the board, with the positioning, with the ships. So the more we work on it, the more we see the potential in this game, and that just made us want to work on it more. And we have even more idea. Like the current thinking is we want to make the game even slightly more competitive. So we're working on a competitive mode, draft mode, inspired by some of the tournaments that's been going on, and potentially even consider things like Can we have hero abilities? Can we have special weather effects and a bunch of things? So I think that I think the game is very fun to work on. So that's one big inspiration. And then secondly, it's great to have this community because we get instant feedback. When something doesn't work, we know right away. And it's just nice to see people playing the game, seeing you all sort of discussing the games, sharing your replays and screenshots, and it always makes us laugh. So that's been great. And that's inspired us to make some even bigger plans that we're working on that I can maybe tell you in a bit. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of exciting things that we like about the game. Okay, I'm just gonna catch up on chat and see if anything. Bye, Jester. Yeah, 2v2 is definitely something that we want to do at some point. It's just kind of difficult, it being a turn-based game. We don't want players to feel like they have to wait ages for their turn. So yeah. Any leaks? Maybe. I'll see if I can share anything. Okay, so let's move on to the next few questions. I think I probably need to go a bit faster on these questions. The biggest next update. So we're working on season 2, and I know season 2 has taken quite a while. And the main reason is, one, we're working on something big that's not directly going to come into the game, and I can maybe share that with you later. So that's one thing. And then secondly, the ships that we've designed for season 2 work very differently because we wanted more depth to the game. So the ships require some fundamental changes to the game and how the turns work, so that we can have ships that can create like chain reactions, ships where abilities might depend on other factors like positions of other ships. So it's exciting, but it also means it's just going to take longer to make. So that's why it's taken a while. But this other thing that we're working on. So we want to take the concept of BattleTabs and the characters and the artwork, and then see if we can expand it into a bigger thing. Meaning, can we take this and create more experiences, more games around all these characters and all these ships, and kind of turning it into a world. So that's one thing that we've been working on, sort of laying down the foundational work for us to do that, and figuring out a way for us to incorporate some of the projects we've seen on the server, some of the fan art, some of the fan projects, and figure out how can all this fit together. Like, how do we incorporate some of the best fan projects into the main game, into this world, in a cohesive way. So that's been taking up a lot of our planning and designing, and obviously that's a much bigger goal. It's not directly within BattleTabs, this sort of PvP game, but it's something that we're very excited about. And one of the things we're working on has a completely different experience, and but it's still within this universe, and I think it's going to be great. So I can't really tell you more just yet, but yeah. So that's probably the biggest thing that we've been working on. Okay. By the way, if there is a question on the chat that requires my attention, just ping me, because there's a lot of chat on this thing, and I probably won't be able to read through the whole thing. Okay, season 2. Yeah, it's not done. Hopefully soon. How long did it make? So the very first version of BattleTabs took about 6 weeks. And this was like super early prototype, but we did release it, and fairly quickly after that it started to get some traction. People started finding it, and I think Google started featuring it. And that's when we went from 10, 20 people using it a day to a few hundred every day, and then it just started to snowball. So I remember the first few months, it's literally just like putting out fire because the server couldn't handle it. But yeah, the very first version was very quick. Like it was meant to be an experiment in some ways. And it's kind of crazy to think how different it is now, how much it's grown from that tiny project. BattleTabs is amazing, but when I'm gone, yeah. So we have this plan to, our goal is to build an everlasting franchise in a way, and we're building out a team so that there's always someone that can continue building on top of it. But also, there's this bigger thing that I was mentioning earlier, that we can get more people involved, maybe community members, and then we can, depending on how things go, we can potentially start open sourcing some of the things we do, and keep the thing going. I think that's the goal. So we definitely want to make sure that the project can continue regardless of what happens to the team individually. Play Store, App Store. Yeah, mobile is in the plans. It's just not yet. I think there's a lot more we need to do for mobile. It needs to be a lot more polished. The game is not, the interface is not designed for mobile. So it's the nice thing is all the hard part of the game is done, like the logics, the matches, the gameplay. But we do need some UX upgrade and just in general more polished gameplay. So this is why we're trying to get a bigger team so we can do like all these things, especially people with mobile experiences. Money, how to plan to grow the game. So far the game has grown organically, like a lot of featuring on Chrome Web Store, on the Edge browser add-on store, and recently we had some collaborations with places like Addicting Games and iOS Game Space. So I think partnership is still going to be important, and I think 15% of new players come from word of mouth. So thanks to all of you. When you tell your friends to find the game, they come and they play the game with us. So that's been great. We definitely want to do more of that. Like, how do we encourage word of mouth? How do we get people? Like, one of the ideas we had was, can we have schools form a team, and then you can have schools battling different schools? I don't know if that's a good idea, but that was one of the ideas we had. Or like regional tournaments, and things like that. So a lot more we want to do, and then I also wanted to look into YouTube and see how we can grow our presence on YouTube. I think it's a fantastic platform for games. So yeah, maybe I need to do some more gameplay videos and things. Season 2, to be honest, I don't think we have the visuals for these new ships yet. But yeah, once we have something to show, we'll definitely be showing them. Yeah, so there had been attacks, like people trying to hack into the server a few times. But so far it's been, I think the server is fine. We're not too concerned about it at the moment. It's sort of hosted with a good hosting provider. How does your work week work? So it's pretty standard. So Monday to Friday. I work in the evenings quite a bit, just because sometimes we have partners in the US, a different time zone. So yeah, it's not super interesting. I do a lot of communications, emails, and thinking about products and strategies, and business development kind of things. What inspired the character design? So Alan's done all the design, all the artwork for the game, and he's a very established artist. He's won loads of awards, BAFTA, Emmy, and there was, I think we shared this before, he did a bunch of sketches, like different styles for the game. Some crazy ones with, like, instead of ships, each unit is a person doing a different pose, and I really like that, but it was just maybe a bit too wacky. And then we had tested with a space theme as well, which I think we shared before on the server, which look really nice as well. Like, so instead of Vikings, each character will have, like, space helmets and things. But at the end, we just thought the Viking thing was quite a fun one. It's recognizable. People know, what they represent, and it's also not too competitive in some ways. Like there's a lot of pirate themes, things. I think initially we wanted something that's familiar but not too crowded. Obviously, now that you have all these Viking games from Assassin's Creed and a bunch of Viking games now, so I think we might be rethinking that. What ship is my personal favorite? I really like the sea monster still. Like, it's one of the first ships, and maybe that's why I like it so much. But I just feel like it is great character to that unit, and I like the randomness of it. Like, I prefer random abilities, and I don't know. I kind of like the luck element of the game. So I definitely like the sea monsters a lot. In terms of attack units, I like Vikings. I like Raft. And again, I don't really know why. I think I like the visual. I like it's sort of, I know exactly what I can cover, and it's quite versatile in terms of the shapes that you can use to attack. Yeah. So those are probably two of my favorites. I also really like this new fleet I'm using, the Chaos Slug fleet with the turtle. Yeah, I mean, too many units that I like. Cool. So board size, we talked about that. Cheat? No, not really. You can't really cheat without really digging into the server and finding your match and a bunch of things. So so now I haven't done that. Hi Nor, I don't know if you're on, but hello. Free to play players. I think we have some big ideas around how can we continue making the game, monetize the game, while making a lot of this stuff more accessible. We haven't figured out how, and it's quite tricky with BattleTabs being a web game at the moment. So web games traditionally are monetized through ads, and we're not a huge fan of that. So we're kind of trying to rethink what's the best way to monetize the game, to continue, so that we can continue building the game, and hopefully we'll have something to share with you all soon. So I think at some point, like sponsorship and all of those things might still be a viable option, but I would much rather if it's part of something else. So for example, if we have a tournament, we can have a sponsor for the tournament, right? Let's say, like, I'm trying to think of, like, Disney sponsors a Disney tournament, and then people would just play in the tournament, but maybe there's some sort of branding for Disney somewhere, right? So, like, that might be a better option, like people are opting in to the tournament. But we don't really like the idea of forcing people to watch ads. So that's the thing. Like, I'd much rather if it's an option that you can choose to participate, yeah. So, but yeah, a lot to think about there. How do I see BattleTabs in a few years? We definitely want to build it into a bigger world. There are some concepts that we've been working on, and yeah, I think it's going to be exciting when we announce it. But yeah, keep your eyes open. We'll be announcing some of these things soon. Did you expect BattleTabs to become so popular, and how do you feel about it? No, we didn't know that it was going to get so many people playing it. It's quite amazing to think. You know, I think 1.5 million people have played it, which is, you just never know that if a game is, you know, how a game is going to do. Oh, is the stream lagging? Oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong network. Okay, well, if it becomes a problem, let me know. Yeah, but you can all hear me okay, right? Hopefully. Yeah, okay, anyways. Yeah, so I think we're very grateful for the game doing well. And now we're thinking bigger and how we can make it even more ambitious. So yeah, so that's that. OS, I use Mac, and I've been using a Mac for a decade. So so I'm pretty happy with it. I think everyone else uses a Windows machine, and I don't know. I like my Apple things. Who would you rather fire? I think if anyone. Hello, what was that? Anyways, I think it's a really hard question. I don't think we want to fire anyone from the team. We've tried really hard to put together a very good team. So yeah, probably no one. Okay, I'll mute you. Yeah. Okay. How handsome is Mike? I think that's pretty self-explanatory. He has a thread dedicated to his handsomeness, and he's also just got married, so you know he's unfortunately off the market. But thanks for asking that question. Give me all your muffins. Maybe not. I like my muffins. To be fair, though, I haven't had a muffin in years, so might be okay. When you were our age, how far did you have to walk up a hill to get to school? Both ways. How many lions did you have to fight? And how much older than us were you? What was your other foot doing? This is kind of a hard question because I don't know your age. I think everyone here probably has very different age groups. But I did walk to school through a rice field when I was in elementary school, and then middle school I took a bus, like 1 hour each way. High school was closed though, so yeah, no lions. I didn't have to fight any lions. Why did you start making games? It's a good question. So after university I worked in finance for a bit, and then just decided it wasn't for me. And I've always liked games, and I like how it's a new form of medium that's sort of invented in the last few decades. You're combining music, video, and interactivity, and I just thought it's really exciting. So I took a job at EA, really enjoyed that, and then just sort of started from there. But yeah, basically because probably coming back to Warcraft 3, I used to play it so much that I just wanted to keep doing it. When is the season coming out? I think we talked about that. Advertisements, yeah, we talked about that. So yeah, so that's I think I've answered all the questions on there. Any other questions from the chat? Okay, feel free. My background. Wait, say again. Oh, this. This thing is not. But we do have. We have another thing. Let's see if I can show. Let's see. Background. Oh, I haven't got it here. Yeah, no. This thing is not. But let me see if there's something I can show you. That might be. I think it's okay to show this one. Just give me a second. But yeah, this thing here is the Discord thing. But we have been. Sorry, my computer is slow because I'm streaming and recording the screen. But we have been working on something. And this is a very sort of early concept that might happen, might not happen. We don't know yet. Oh, here we go. Okay. Some of you might have seen this. Not loading. But we have this idea of this concept of, can we turn BattleTabs into a more social thing where you have your characters, you can walk around, you can build up maybe an island or a house. So that's the concept here. I don't think it's loading, so maybe I'll share it another time. Or you know what? I'll put it in the chat. Oh. Can you guys still hear me? No? Yes? No?